Live from the internet, this is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. Tonight is episode 63, recorded on August 1st, 2019. I am your host, Mark, and I have to say we're going to take a moment now because I am not joined by my good friend and yours, Mino Spellgood. After the news this week of the special Idoja's passives, artifact passives, Mino became so rabid that unfortunately we had to put him down. So I just like to take this moment and remember all the things Mino Spellgood did for the community and just reach out to Square Enix and let them know that I hope they think very hard about what they've done, and I hope that in the future they will be more considerate of the things they do to our community. No, of course, Mino's fine. He's taking this week off, and we will cover that issue and many other things tonight. I am joined by my good friend and yours. His name is Kreese, a.k.a. Zerink. How you doing, Kreese?
Hey, Mark. I am doing pretty well. Thanks for asking, even though the summon board grind has been a chore.
You don't have to do it all today. We just keep telling ourselves you don't have to finish it today. But you know, it'd be nice to finish it here in a couple weeks, at least get all the treasures. Now, we are also joined by not a replacement for Mino, but a special guest. You may know him as the Tonberry King. He is the Tonberry Troops founder, I believe. Inkwelder. Welcome, Ink. How are you doing?
I am doing well, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Please don't stab us while you're on air.
I will not, but if they ever put a Tonberry King summon or an enemy, I will just...
Yeah, we don't have a Tonberry. We've not fought any Tonberries in this game, have we? That's sad.
We haven't, and neither has...
Oh, Japan hasn't. Oh, okay. Well, hey, before we get into today's content, I want to give a special shout out to a member of our community. And I remind you that the Crystal Chronicles is a collaboration between many people, not just myself, Mino, and Kreese, but so many other people. One of those people's name is Jin Lee, and he's a member of our Discord and a member of the DFFOO community. And he is responsible for making these new backgrounds and doing the... doing all the work for us. And as I say that, I did forget to change the background. So yes, that's one of our new backgrounds if you're watching live on Twitch. And welcome everybody who's joining us live on Twitch. Welcome if you're joining us later on Twitch, or if you're joining us on YouTube later this week, or if you're joining us on the podcast on whatever is your favorite podcast app or way to listen to podcasts. We're on all of them. So it's great to have you all with us. Let's talk a little bit about what is going on in the world of DFFOO. So today, how do we even want to do this? On Monday, we did have a Square Enix community stream. During that stream, we got a lot of news. So let's talk about the good news first. So we did get stream rewards, and those stream rewards came to us today. We got 3,000 gems, 5 armor tokens, 20 draw tickets, 5 relics of all knowledge, and 10 SP potions. That's from the stream rewards and also the launch of the new banner. High shards got raised to 9,999. Very, very awesome. We also were told, of course, the upcoming August events, including Lost Chapters for Zack and Rydia, including Vayne event and Secret event. I don't know who it could be. Just some random
Bunny girl is Fran. I think we all know that
now.
Oh,
man, spoilers. It's Fran. She has a bow and ears. She's the only character in the game that does that. who's not a random
I'm glad
character.
it's not a Pikachu like they posted on.
Not a Pikachu. That's going to be later this month as we download Pokemon Masters and play Pikachu. Also news about a new upcoming content called Abyss. And so this is going to be a beta version of a heretic-style dungeon. And you're going to go down into the abyss. The further down you get, the harder it will become. And it did say up to chaos difficulty. So we're going to get a lot more...
Cosmos difficulty, not chaos.
Yes, it was, woohoo, chaos already. No, Cosmos, thank you, Chris, difficulty for that. On the other end of the spectrum, we've already gotten Mog's Gym, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, which is for easier, newer players to tackle. So that's kind of the arcing things from the stream. We're going to talk about the other big thing here in a second. Gentlemen, Increase, anything you wanted to say about the good things we heard about this month or the new things that are being announced?
I am excited for the Abyss beta. I think it'll be interesting. We've had a lot of fun in the past with these different heretic-style events. So I'm hoping this will turn out to be just as great as those other ones. And oh my god, Broadway, thank you for gifting 5-tier subs to Crystal Chronicles.
Thank you, the Broadway Saiyan, for hosting and the gift of subs. We appreciate it. If you are hanging out, please feel free to follow and sub. But yes, thank you, 40. 40 is very big member of our community. Hopefully you're following him on Twitch, the Broadway Saiyan, and on YouTube, the Broadway Saiyan. We're going to reference at least one of his videos here coming up. So make sure you check out. I always check out everything that 40 puts out. And everything Josepher puts out on YouTube. Their videos are excellent. Lids has been doing some good stuff too. And of course, we have a lot of people who do good runs and who are on Twitch and also on YouTube. So check them out. But thanks, Broadway. We appreciate all you do for DFFOO.
40 is so good at spreading love. Great.
He is. You will often find him sneaking around and watching and supporting other, especially newer streamers as well, and we do all try to do that in this community at least. So very nice. Ink, any thoughts about the good stuff, the new stuff from the mobile stream?
So the thing that I thought was the most interesting, so I'm excited for Abyss for sure, because I think that that'll be really interesting and hopefully let us use different characters again. That should be. But I thought it was really interesting that they basically confirmed a bunch of the awakenings. So by saying that Cater is in August, we know that Cater's in the first wave of 70s. So she along with 5 other people will awaken to 70 at the end of the month. Yuna we expected in September, but then they said that Lion is in October, which Lion is supposed to be on Aphmau's banner for November. So the fact that Lion is in October, they're either going to speed up events or they're swapping Aphmau with Alphanod or someone else.
Huh.
But it should be interesting. They might either be changing the cadence of events or they might be swapping, which we haven't seen swapping since the Twitter polls, I think. So not really sure the reason for it, but it certainly is interesting.
All right. Well, I think we have to address the elephant in the room, and that is these special Idojas and special artifact passives from what we refer to as the Sinister or Cursed 6. I want to make a couple comments, and then I'll let you guys kind of talk about what you think about what has happened. So first and foremost, we all like this game. We're all big fans of DFFOO, and I, for one, feel like this game has been very good to the community. The work that the global version of the game has done to connect to the community through Glacy and Joshua, how present they are. We see Joshua all over the place. He comes into our streams. He comes into other people's streams. He's on Reddit. He's on MainCord, on Discord. And the communication has been very, very good. And there's a lot of free stuff. And it's not just copy and paste from JP to global. We do get a lot of cool stuff first, and even some stuff that is a little bit exclusive. Now, you could say Beatrix wasn't exclusive. She was a global first. But this Abyss stuff is, new and unique to us. And there's been a couple other events like that have been a little unique to us. Some of the Heretic style stuff we had before that. We've also gotten quality of life updates way before Japan did in their timeline. Now, that being said, well before our timeline, JP got these 6 special artifacts. And if you don't know the history behind them, the 6 characters that we've been talking about for months now, Serah, Yuna, Cater, Lion, Aerith, and who else?
Lion.
You're forgetting Vivi.
And Vivi, yes, Vives. So those 6 characters, I said Lion twice. Those 6 characters, before rework started to hit, they got special Idojas. And with those special Idojas came 2 unique, very, very cool artifact passives that were available. How they launched in Japan was in a co-op shop. You were able to buy 100 each of them. And that was it. That was all you could get, 100, and you could get all 6. And this was well before we got reworks for like Bart's and Thancred in our timeline. So this was very early before those reworks dropped. So when that happened in global, we were all kind of waiting to say, okay, well, they didn't drop. Japan hated it. There was issues. So where are they? And we've been asking, where are they? And we've been asking Joshua and Glacy, where are they? And people asked the developers, we have these developer chats. What are you guys doing with these Idojas? We didn't hear anything about them. We did not get them when Japan got them. What was going to happen? And so I think part of the issue and part of the battle that we've been having right now with some of the community being very upset and some of the community hating on the other part of the community for being upset, and I hate that kind of stuff. We all play this game. We should all be able just to enjoy it wherever we are and have some differences of opinion in it. But I think one of the issues was there was such a long amount of time where we were kind of working ourselves up to say, oh, they're going to address this. Oh, they're going to do something new. Oh, they're going to give us new reworks. Oh, they're going to change how artifacts are done. Oh, they're going to give Japan a quality of life update and then give us that quality of life update. So we were expecting, I said last week, the least likely thing I thought would happen was we would just get these Idojas verbatim. And of course, last week on the show, with Vivi dropping in Chapter 3, Arc 2, Chapter 3, that's what we got. We got these Idojas kind of verbatim. Now, you are able to grind them in World of Illusion and in co-op, which is nice. But it's still not really great. And of course, on the stream, they addressed it. And I felt bad for Glacy and Joshua. Joshua was obviously reading from his laptop or from the laptop there what the devs had given him to read. And their answer wasn't very satisfactory. Now, maybe I would say it would never have been satisfactory. But basically what they said is, well, we didn't want to do anything because it would have just, disrupted the balance of the game. And just truth be told, that's not true. These reworks were not that powerful. Even if we got these reworks and additional artifacts, these characters are the bottom tier characters. Yes, Serah's very good. Yuna kind of has her time, but most of these characters are just kind of the bottom of the barrel in DFFOO and always have been. But now we have the Idojas. That's our reality. And if you want them, there's about 2% chance to get a perfect, depending on what you're looking for. Now, I will say, one of our members on our Discord, let me look. I just saw it.
Mickey.
Yes, he has farmed already perfect Idojas for Serah. So it is possible, but it's huge RNG. I did it. I spent an hour grinding the World of Illusion last night, and it was, it was okay. Now, I tended not to get as many Serahs as I got Seifers and Thancreds, but I also you know, did not get any perfect arts for sure, but I did get 3 of the boosts. So I was able at least to have the full auras for Serah for working in the current event, and I'll wait till the co-op to be able to do that. So so in my mind, yeah, there's some good, there's some bad, there's some ugly. I really think at the end of the day, it could have been handled better by the GL dev team. They could have just said, hey, earlier, this is what we needed to do. This is how it's going to go down. You know, we're sorry, but we're going to give these to you as well. But I think there was just the lack of communication for months, just kind of the silence on the issue was a mistake, and so people are upset. So that's enough from me. Kreese, Inc., what do you guys think about this whole situation?
I'm mostly on the opinion, and I think you hit it pretty hard and pretty well with what you said. The fact that they were silent on this topic for months and months, despite the community asking about it regularly, really led, perhaps unintentionally, that Square Enix was going to do something. They were not going to give us exactly the same artifact passives that Japan got in exactly the same way. We were going to see something different. And when that was not a reality and Vivi's passives were dropped without any word of any warning ahead of time, it kind of shocked me that they would actually do the thing that I thought they would not do. And actually, I remember before this, Ink and I had discussed, what do you think they'll do? My opinion was that they would always do something. They would bake in those special artifact passives into their awakening passives or something like that. Ink was certain we get them, and turns out that Ink was right. The other thing I wanted to mention, let me just pull this up, because I brought up another point that concerns me with the context that we've seen now. Whether this is true or not, you can take, but here's how I've started to visualize the things that have happened in the past couple months for us now. The realization that these 6 characters are still getting their artifact passes but are delayed puts the early character reworks we received in a new context. Instead of being a bonus, they were actually an attempt at a replacement for what were ostensibly delayed character reworks via artifact passes. In the cases of some characters, those artifact passes were actually pretty strong at the time Japan received them. So instead of getting artifact passes for Aerith, Serah, Yuna, Cater, Vivi, and Lion, we instead got Thancred early rework, and then Bart's early rework. It's 2 characters replacing 6. You could argue it's an equal balance because those 6 characters were not good in many cases, but it's still an odd tipping point, in my opinion, on how this all played out. Ink, what are your thoughts?
So I'll take the positive side just because. So Serah is one of my favorites. I've been looking at her kit since last September when I first pulled her 35. And hearing all the talk about it and how negatively it was received, there was certainly also an impression that they just might not introduce them at all. They might not change the passives. They might not give us the artifacts, the new artifact passives. And the idea of, you know, when you're looking forward, everyone has their set of favorites, and you have the idea that your favorite may not be as good as they could be. And yeah, you have to farm artifacts, but at least it's possible to get the artifacts. I actually crunched a bunch of numbers. First off, it's 0.45% to get perfect, which is less than a ticket pull on an EX. But if you go through World of Illusion, if the RNG is nice to you and you split 3, you know, a third Serah, a third Thancred, a third Seifer, I get that is the biggest. I did get 16 Serah rolls from one run, and then I got 4 in another. Oh. So they balanced out. But if you do 3 books in World of Illusion, you at least have an 80% chance to get the aura with either 108, 330, or the other cursed. So it's not that bad. If you want perfect cursed arts, then yeah, it's a grind for sure. But if you open it up a little bit to where she's worked and where all these characters are workable, right? We don't have perfect arts on most of our characters. And Serah in JP does perfectly fine with a cursed art paired with 108, 330, or cursed. So I feel like it's unfortunate that they didn't give us more ways to get let's say, Serahs and Vivis up front. Like I would have loved Idoja's purchasable in the shop.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm just glad they're here. I'm glad that we at least have access to make these characters, some of these characters. I know some of them, eventually they'll get strong, hopefully, cater. But at least we have the ability to make these characters what they can be in JP. And I think that that's the point. I do wish that there was more communication. But we also don't know what's coming. You know, JP has finished their level 70s, and they've got like an enhancement point system that's coming. We really don't know how they're going to be changing things. And it's possible that if they change the passives for these characters, that it would offset the balance further out that we can't account for. So I'm just glad we have an opportunity to actually farm these and get them.
Yeah, that's one, that's one reality. We do have the opportunity, even though we did not get the 100 free, quote unquote. You still had to grind out tokens to get those 100. But we do have the opportunity to get as many as we want if we're willing to invest the time and potentially the gems to do it. So the Broadway Saiyan, who has just been nice enough to gift us some subs and host us, had a really nice video on this called The Curse 6 on his YouTube. I'll give you the link to that here in Twitch if you're with us. But if you're not, just go search the Broadway Saiyan on YouTube and check out his latest video called The Curse 6. And of course, 40 is just one of the nicest, most positive people in our community anyway. So his approach was pretty good as well. We have several other streamers with us tonight. So Comrade Jgrid, long time, is here. I saw It's Mir as well. Welcome. If you're watching us online, go check them out and make sure you support all of our content streamers and content creators. So is that it from the Square Enix community stream? Have we beat that one with a dead horse? That doesn't make any sense. Have we
covered everything?
Have we beat that poor horse to death? Yes. We're going to talk about it again in a few minutes with Serah, I'm sure. But we also, so there was maintenance, and of course maintenance took away our double crystal reward. So I hope you got all your crystals. I spent like the last 2 hours before maintenance trying to grind up several thousand crystals. So I was down to like under 1,000 shards of each. So I'm glad that's over. But we
just remember that you really only need enough black crystals for Zach if you want Zach, blue crystals for Vayne, yellow crystals for Fran. Everyone else is at 60 already, and at the end of August, when we get 70 awakening, we should be getting, hopefully, cycle 70 quests that have much more generous drop rates. So if you missed farming on 2x, hopefully you have enough for your favorite character coming up, but at least we have something even better coming in a few weeks.
Ink, how could you forget about everyone's favorite summoner, the one whose mother died?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rydia.
A little green, green summoner. Yes. You got to have.
I apologize.
Shards for her.
Green for Rydia.
Poor Rydia.
I'm gonna get stuff for that
at the very tail end of level 60 awakenings. We did get a August. What's it called? Monthly mission, early August Chocobo panel. It has wonderful things like clear 20 quests with Serah, clear 20 quests with Seifer, got 11 of those done. Defeat 20 death machines, use Dissidia points, enhance an artifact, log in 8 days, clear with a Freet 25 times, defeat miniature Magitech armor, and defeat 40 nightmare types. Now, some of these are bosses or enemies that I wasn't necessarily familiar with off the top of my head. So we do have a nice little infograph or little article here. I should link that for you. It's from Macnell. I know Macnell shared it. I didn't realize Macnell actually wrote it. Oh, hey, Borzoi. Another one of our streamers. Good to have you on as well. So our wonderful friend and co-collaborator, Macnell, MACNOL, the man who brings you the call to arms and the video guides on Reddit. Also, Nate made a cool little Chocobo panel mission thing, which I just shared in chat and will be in our notes if you're listening online, where you can find death machines and miniature Magitech armors. That would be Act 1 Interlude 12-4. The Derelict Plant number 4 has 4 death machines and 2 Magitech armors. Act 2 Chapter 1 Quick Encounter 1-5 has 4 nightmares. There's a couple other things in there as well for your farming needs. I imagine perhaps that Vane and Zach will have some of those things in them well, and that's usually what happens with this. There are usually those enemies in a lost chapter or an event coming up. So make sure you're paying attention to your boards because you get free stuff. So let's go to some content. Last week, as we were podcasting Story Chapter, Act 2, Chapter 3, The Time We Have launched. We already discussed the character reworks, the kind of overarching what we got, Vivi's EX, for example. But anything you wanted to discuss about the story itself? Did you like the story? Where do you think it's going? Is it just, clicking through the stuff so I can play the game? Or what did you guys think?
I thought the story was very interesting. It had to kind of play with a villain who technically has joined the team at this point. So it couldn't go too crazy, but it was still interesting how they made the story about him and Kuja's history from Final Fantasy IX and how he's dealing with his own personal issues in this world of Dissidia and how it pertains to characters like Zidane and Vivi. So I had a lot of fun with that. I enjoyed the story.
Yeah, I enjoyed it also, although it did make me cringe every time Kuja hurt Vivi, because I didn't pull for Kuja because I don't like him and I love Vivi and I pulled for him. And so watching the little guy get tormented hurt me a bit, but it was an interesting story, and I love that Vivi and Kuja managed to have a connection, even on the side, sort of Vivi reading or knowing why Kuja was doing what he was doing, and could slightly forgive him for it. So I actually really enjoyed the story. Everything since Interlude has been actually really, really enjoyable.
As well, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I love Final Fantasy IX, and so there was a lot of cool callbacks to Final Fantasy IX, including the things you fought and the world you were in, and also the kind of dealing with the reality of the Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia world and how the characters interact with that. So, but yeah, definitely Vivi, as Zyro says in chat, Vivi was the mature one here, and Vivi did a lot in this chapter. So this was the Final Fantasy IX chapter, so a lot of the Final Fantasy IX characters were highlighted. Zidane, Kuja, and Vivi perhaps most of all. What about Cosmos? So this was our first real, I guess, or maybe perhaps introduction to Cosmos difficulty in our event that went along with the chapter release called Beasts of the Ice Cave. I don't even want to talk about the co-op for that. It's horrifying. Because some
having a fine time with the co-op.
You like getting wiped because somebody doesn't pay attention to what they're supposed to do.
I've been running Zidane. I just slow the 2 giants and make sure I don't get broken too often.
Zidane is just the new lightning, is what he is in that co-op.
So fast.
It's rough.
So what
you're saying is I'm the problem.
Yeah, you're the problem. That's right. What about the Cosmos quest level 150, where we had to fight first in round 3 the Lamia Queen with Aiko and Zidane mannequins, and then finally the Ice Gigas, pair of Ice Gigas. How did you guys fare on that? What did you think? Any takeaways?
I did not have too much trouble with the Cosmos myself. My first attempt at a team didn't work quite the way I'd hoped. I went back in with a second team, just adjusting one character, and wiped the floor without any trouble. So I did not have too much difficulty with the Cosmos, despite how challenging it was. The biggest hurdle for me was just getting over the idea that I had to be dealing HP damage every single turn I used. Avoiding breaks turned out to be a lot more important against the Gigases than that.
Yeah, I feel like once you learned the break mechanic and you learned how the battle played out and you got the nerves over knowing that you could clear it. I wiped 6 times in a row and I just kept resetting the last wave because I knew I could do it. And finally just made sure I'm not going to get broken and was able to complete it. I feel like this harkened back to the bugged Death Rider Horseman that was Cosmos difficulty that we got the opportunity to try and clear. And you had to use really, really tight gameplay to get through it. And I feel like this sort of called back to that if you had tried to tackle it before.
So which teams did the two of you bring? Because I want to talk a little bit about this.
Sure, I used a team. My final clearing team was Zidane, Lena, Renoa, so pretty meta team.
Ink, how did you tackle this one?
So my roster is really limited because I missed 6 EXs that were all very recent that would have helped with this. But I did pity Renoa. So Renoa, Lena, and I ended up getting my best score with Kistas. Thankfully, that was actually really easy once I just stopped getting broken. I actually think Kistas' friend was the best friend that you could bring.
I agree, and so does most of the submissions to Macnol's Call to Arms. So if you look at Macnol's Call to Arms, almost all of the runs included Renoa, Lena, Freya, Sephiroth, and then some of them Vivi, Jax, Zidane, Rosa, Lulu, Kistas, and then yeah, there's a whole bunch that were included, but yeah, the majority of friend units were Kistas with 70%, then Lon and Rain 12%, and then a few Renoas and a couple other people who just feel like using different people. But most everybody used Kistas, and a lot of people used Renoa, and I believe Freya. He has a whole section on his Call to Arms. And dude, check out Macnol. Macnol does such great work for us, compiling these lists, compiling these video guides. It's just great to see all this kind of stuff in one place. He has a whole thing where he talks about the great Freya Renoa Carry Palooza, and he goes through all of these like just random characters that were carried by Freya and Renoa teams, including Noctis, Warrior of Light, Yuffie, Ramza, Thancred, and I kid you not, someone did a Yuna run in Cosmos difficulty. Freya, Renoa, and Yuna. That was mathematician PSC, who does a lot of videos on YouTube. So
I love randoms runs.
Yeah. So and Kem Smith, of course, does all kinds of weird stuff, and there was a Yuffie run in that, but that was not Kem this time around. Kem normally does Yuffie. So yeah, so in one sense, well, we've been prepping for Cosmos for a long time, so I think a lot of us were ready. In another sense, yeah, there was a lot of meta teams, and I don't think a lot of people got through with, really, really random teams. There were a few out there that were able to kind of clear it in a budget. I think there was a Renoa without EX, Lena Rosa run, Freya Lulu Rosa, Freya Lulu Aiko, some of the kind of cheaper runs, I guess you could say. Freya Lulu Aiko, completely non-EX team. So there are strategies, and that's why what Macnol's doing is so great, because, a lot of the recordings we have from Japan at this time are great players using meta teams to clear content, and you just see the same team over and over again. With Macnol's work, we're actually compiling and getting people submitting just fun, different teams to say, oh, no, you can, if you work hard, if you're paying attention, you can bring some interesting characters and get it done. But, of course, in the end, it's a little bit easier if you have the most powerful up-to-date characters. So anything
I also
else?
want to touch on this to say something that Mino wanted to talk about,
Yeah.
which was a member of the community, Boy Kazif, actually did a comparison
Oh, yeah.
between this Cosmos fight and the hardest EX we've had to date, which is the Agrius EX fight. And he found that basically this Cosmos fight is the most restricted we've been on rosters used for a video compilation thread by Macnol since Agrius. And in some ways, it was even more restricted because there was less variety across the teams, even including the meta slots. So it's, despite how little difficulty we had, it was a very challenging battle overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you weren't able to clear it, for sure the banner overlaps with Zach, or the event overlaps with Zach, and I think it also overlaps Vayne for 24 hours. So if you're planning to pull and you couldn't clear it, they will probably help you do it.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris5258. Chris has been with us since the beginning of the stream. As I was talking about streamers, Chris streams as well. Check him out. If there's anybody else who's live with us on Twitch who is a streamer who I didn't mention, just let me know. I'm not trying to exclude anybody. Share the love tonight. All right, so we did get a new type of content, and it is a quest. It's in quests, and it's going to be available for the entire month, I think until the 28th of August, actually, called Mog's Gym. Mog's Gym is a collection of kind of tutorial fights. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 total fights from quest level 20 to 60. Designed to help new players kind of understand how to play the game. The fights aren't that bad. We just, you just kind of go through them and you read the little fun, it's kind of, this is how you break. Oh, this is how you use resistances. Oh, you can, hopefully you knew all these things, but it's, it is what it is. But you beat these and you get tokens, and those special tokens were able to get you 270 of each high shard, or 275 of each high shard, 18 4-star Chocobo tail feathers, 1,000 of each cluster shards, crystal clusters, 1,500 of each regular crystals, and then a whole bunch of either power orbs or the smallest type of crystals to give you basically enough to fully awaken 6 characters. Let me tell you, quite helpful for your alternate account who you don't want to grind on that I have for my kids. So I'm going to run that in my alternate account so the kids can get their Sephiroth fully awakened and everything else. Because my boys are big Cloud Sephiroth fanboys, so they had to have both of those characters. But I, don't play their game enough to get them the things they need to fully awaken them. But I did do that, and it's fun. And it's a good way, if you have people that you'd like to get interested, it is a good way to get them, some resources early on in the game. Any comments on Mog's Gym, guys? Did you do it? Have you not touched it yet?
I cleared it in about a half hour. It was a very easy fight for someone on our end of the game spectrum, but it's designed in such a way that as you said, it's meant for new players, and the rewards there are pretty large for new players too. Being able to awaken one character of each crystal color is huge, and it makes the rest of the game so much easier. You don't even need to complete all of the stages to get those high shards either. I think I checked about halfway through when I was able to clear out the whole token shop of all the limited time rewards without even getting to the highest stages.
Yeah,
which means
you ended up with
it's easy to get through and get the rewards and then come back and do the harder stages later if you are a newer player.
But the other, so you can get all the limited rewards, and that allows you to level characters because you get the feathers, and actually awaken them because you get the crystals. But the higher power orbs and higher guard orbs in this, you get 50 for one token or 30 for one token. So for new players, I can just say, running an alternate account, higher power orbs are kind of a bear unless you're going to grind out all of the the everything in the game, and you can get them through lost chapters and stuff. But that's super helpful. So you could, you can jump on the game this month and say, hey, I'm new. I haven't been playing. Oh, I like Zach. Oh, I like Vayne. I'm going to jump on. Freya is still available. Jump on. Serah would be another one. And you're going to have a really good team right away this month and really be able to do it without much, grinding. Whereas a lot of games, it, just takes so long to get even a usable team or max somebody out. Here, you're going to be able to do it in just, a day or two, which is ridiculous, but really cool. And that just speaks to kind of the generosity of the Square Enix team and the global side of things. They have been really inviting to new players and really inviting to veterans as well. So we appreciate that. Ink, anything to add about Mog's Gym?
I agree with Aminosa that they absolutely should have covered Break Order. But outside of that, I think it was a really well-designed event. I wish that they would do more of them, even if they don't include high shards. Just giving those sort of introductory type events for people, I think it's just such a boon. And it also gets people to stay on the game. A lot of people might jump into Discord and ask a bunch of questions, and they get overwhelmed because they can't power up. There was a round when I think Bart's got his rework and Lillicet was out, and people did not have enough yellow high shards. There was not nearly enough, and people got really discouraged. So I feel like these events would, if they came more often, would be a really good boon for the community.
Yeah. Well, moving on from Mog's Gym, we now go to Shiva Ultimate, or whatever they call it. What do they call it in this game? World of Illusion Ultimate Shiva. Ultimate. Yes, Ultimate Shiva. So
something like that.
Shiva summon board is unlocked. The new, of course, to get into the Ultimate Shiva, your Shiva summon has to be at level 20. Once it is, you unlock a few more missions and then a level 100 fight where you fight Shiva. And this is where you get summon board points and also materials to up Shiva to level 30. Now, I guess we should talk about what Shiva actually looks like at level 30. She does get a little bit faster, and in addition to her speed bonus, actually does give an attack bonus as well. So raises attack by 15% and speed by 20% or 25%. While Brave is less than Int Brave is going to do...
The important thing here is that the attack is permanent. There's no conditional on that. The only conditional is on the speed boost.
Interesting. So, yeah, so the speed boost is conditional, but the attack is not. Very interesting. So, yeah, so
it's a great summon.
Yeah, is a great summon. Yeah, especially if you're using, characters like Renoa, who gets under that 80% really fast. Perhaps not so great are the summon board passives that you can get. Of course, as you unlock a summon board, you can either get the 1,800 points needed for for all 3 treasures, but you need 6,500 points to get the full board mastered, all of the stat boosts and the 3 special passives. Now you can choose from Blizzard Resist Up, which of course gives you resistance to ice damage, Blizzard Resist All, which is an aura resist, Blizzard Power, which empowers your ice damage, Shiva Evasion Up, which under, what is it? Well, your HP is less than 80% of max HP. You have Evasion 10%, and you get the same qualifier for Initial Guard Up, raises Int Brave by 10, Defense by 20, when HP is less than 80. Shiva Bonus does Break Bonus while HP is less than 80, and Shiva Critical does critical damage by 10% while HP is less than 80. So you don't want to spend a lot of your time less than 80%, correct? But
unless your name's Renoa or Dark Knight Cecil.
But we are in Cosmos and Chaos, moving towards Chaos, and you are going to end up less than 80% because you're going to start fighting characters and villain or bosses who are doing damage to you. Now, if you don't know, Rama, who comes out next, gives you very similar things, including evasion, when you're above 80% HP. So those evasion buffs, which is basically a 1 in 10 chance, right, to evade an attack. But they do change that in Japan, right? That the way evasion works gets changed eventually. I don't know if we need to go into that, but regardless, you can end up with buffs from Shiva and Rama that basically give you 10% evasion if you're above or below HP, 80%. So that's kind of nice. So
I hope they give us that quality of life that they gave JP when, I think it was when Bosch came out, maybe. But they made it so that if one of your characters dodged an attack, and the same was true for bosses, that it would still deal the split damage. So that way, you know, right now, if two of your characters miss,
yeah,
and your one character that didn't dodge it will get the full brunt of that attack and usually die.
Yeah.
So hopefully when Ramuh comes, they give us that that quality of life.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Edge, for dodging that attack. Everybody else dies. Yeah. Good job. Good job. So with this event came a rework and a banner, a couple banners actually. But the big banner is the one with Serah EX and her rework. So, Kreese, did you want to let Ink take this since he's our guest? And, of course, Ink does those wonderful infographics. I'll put one on the screen.
I figured since Ink is such a big fan of Serah, I would let him take this time.
So if you're
Thanks,
watching on Twitch right now, it's not very easy to see, but if you're not familiar with the kind of work that the Tonberry Troop does, I do have the very small picture of what Serah's infograph looks like. Now just go to Reddit, look on Tonberry Troop. You can check out our Twitter, FFTCC podcast, at FFTCC podcast, and I've shared all of the Tonberry Troops infographics, and you can blow it up and see it a lot better than it's on stream right now. But that should give you some sense of what the work that they do, and their wonderful infographics. I think between the infograph and Kreese's evaluations, you get about everything you need to know. So, Ink, take it away. What do you think about Serah, her rework, her EX, artifact passives? Tell us everything we need to know.
All right, sounds good. So it's a lot, so I'm going to dive in because she gets a ton of changes. So just covering her abilities first. So Wound, her first skill, becomes a group AoE attack. It still inflicts poison. It's one of the, if not the strongest poison in the game at 80% of Brave. It also debuffs 50% of Max Brave. It's got 8 skill uses. That didn't go up, but that's just how many she has. It has an 80% Brave conditional now to launch an HP attack. The most important thing is that it grants her 5 turns of her framed buff called Unshaken Will, which is very integral to her kit. It gives her 20% attack and Max Brave up. It gives the party 40% defense. It gives her speed up, the entire party speed up. And it also gives her access to her Brave Plus, which is a battery of 30% of her attack to the party. Just note that that is really, really low. Yeah. It also enables the plus versions of her abilities. So you will want to keep this buff up all the time. It's pretty important. So Wound Plus becomes 2-hit AoE Brave. It's a guaranteed HP attack now. It's got 50% splash. It batteries the party for 20% of the damage that it deals to the target. And that's the main target. So you're not batterying more if there's 3 enemies. Also, unlike Tidus and Golbez, the plus version will refresh her buff. So it's pretty easy to maintain Unshaken Will. So the vanilla version of Moonlight, it gets an extra use up to 7. It has the 2 usual party batteries, as long as you have her 35 passive. It does a 1-hit Brave plus HP. This is single target for the normal version. And the new thing is that it debuffs attack down by 20%. The plus variant, which is hyper powerful, is an AoE Brave plus HP after the 2 gains. It does split HP damage and has 120% overflow. It also batteries the party for 20% of the damage done. That's 3 batteries on 1 skill, and is generally, I think in testing out of synergy, was around 13 to 15K every time I used it. So that was really nice. Her EX ability, which is what's new, is Ultima Arrow. It's on a slow recast. So that means that you're going to use it probably every 3 or 4 turns to start. And then after generally 2 abilities, you'll be able to recast it. It is a 7-hit Brave plus HP attack. As long as you've got it at 2/3 limit break, it's going to do 50% splash if the target's not broken after the attack, and 100% splash if they are broken. And it also inflicts AoE, her unique debuff called Goddess's Light, which has the same poison effect, which stacks with her other poison, giving her 2 poison effects, sort of how poison and sap work together. And it also has a 20% defense down. So this stacks with a lot of other debuffs, which is really important if you use Zidane, if you're interested in Fran or Pain, or a lot of the other big debuffers. This works really nicely with them. Okay, on to the controversial topic, her new artifact passives. So they're both quite powerful. You've got debuff, attack boost all 2-star. It gives the party 10% attack up and Embrave up whenever an enemy is debuffed. You've got Moonlight, Charge, and Boost 2-star. Note these are both available only in the 2-star version. You get 1 use of Moonlight, and you get 20% max Brave up, which is always on if you have this artifact passive equipped. So there's been a lot of discussion around her artifacts. Like I said a little bit earlier, yes, Cursed debuff boost all and Moonlight Charge together on one artifact is her best. But there are tons of JP players that used her into Chaos with just a Cursed passive paired with 108, 330, or the other Cursed passive. So even though you might want absolute perfects, which is possible, but you don't want to deal with the RNG, if you go into World of Illusion, you pop 3 books, spend an hour and a half, you have an 80% chance to get the debuff aura with 108, 330, or Moonlight Charge. So I will take 80%, even if the perfect is 0.45%. It's not so bad, as long as you get good drops in the World of Illusion. Her skill rotation is generally going to be to open up with Wound. You want that party speed up. You want access to her plus abilities right up front. It also debuffs, which turns on her aura. Moonlight also debuffs now, which is important. And sometimes if you're speedrunning or trying to grind something very quickly, opening with Moonlight is not necessarily a bad thing if you're, I don't know, running with Jekt or something and you want to make sure that he has the battery. So you can sometimes do that. Or if your party depends on buffs, then you might want to give them the 60% attack up that comes with Moonlight. That was part of it originally, and the 20% max Brave. Really, Serah is all about keeping her debuffs up, her buffs up. So Unshaken Will, attack plus 60%. You want to keep those 2 on at all times. So it's basically making sure of that. I think the main thing to be wary of is Moonlight has a very high turn rate. So it is pretty likely that if you use Moonlight, there's a chance Serah might go again right away. So then you might want to use her Brave Plus, or if her EX is charged, then you can jump into that.
Her
that
EX.
is...
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Thank you, Ink, for that analysis and for the infographic, of course, and your team, the Tomberry Troop. I will say her EX charges faster than I anticipate it charging. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's only 2 skill uses, even on a slow charge, out of synergy, of course. It's not bad. It comes up right away, and 100% AoE is a really nice thing to have.
I assume you have her kit. You pulled her EX?
I saved 786 tickets. I had a 1.9% chance of missing her EX. Thankfully, I got it in 130 tickets.
Yeah, I got mine in 167 tickets. So I did not have 700, but I did have more than 167, thankfully. So hopefully I still have enough to luck out on Zach when Zach comes around with the Shiva boards. But I've been enjoying her, using her in the Shiva summon boards, obviously right now. But, you know, I was looking forward to her before all this happened. And she was somebody who was on my radar to hopefully pick up with tickets because I did have everything else on the banner. We did get 2 banners. So with every summon board, there is 6 special synergy characters. That is the language GL uses, correct, Reese?
Special boosted.
Special boosted characters that if you have one special boosted character, everyone else gets basically double XP. Even if they're not a double XP character right now, they are treated as getting double XP. So normally when you run a summon board, you get 100 points. If your character is double XP, they get 200 points. If you bring a special boosted character, everyone gets 200 points. And then, of course, if you use a double book, 400, triple book, 600. I know most of you know that like the back of your hand. I did hear some confusion about it even listening today to some folks. So not everyone quite had that under their hat yet because this is only our second summon board. So the 6 special boosted characters are Serah, Seifer, and Thancred. The first banner is the 3 of them with Serah's EX. The second banner, which is half price, is Steiner, Prishe, and Auron, no EX. So I was able to carry folks with Auron, Seifer, and Serah fairly easily. I think Prishe, unless you have her EX, even with her EX, might be tough. Steiner as well. And Thancred I was having trouble with, we were talking about before. But what's been what's your opinion of these? I mean, obviously Ink and I pulled. Kreese did not pull, I don't believe, on these banners. So you can tell me if you have opinions about the banners. But what's been your experience with Shiva summoning board farming? So let's talk about that level 100 quest with Shiva. What do you guys think so far?
I have not gotten into the hard parts of the summon board grind yet. I've been using some pretty strong carry units with my special boosted characters to make sure I can get through them so far. So I can't speak to the harder end of the grinding, for example, carrying a deadweight cater along with for the ride, but for the most part, it's just a slow fight. I can't avoid having the 2 Shivas, once she splits, do their diamond dusts. I have to eat and watch that whole animation. So even at the fastest I've been able to do it, it's still slower than Ifrit. And that's my biggest complaint so far. I figured out a good strategy for keeping it safe, but it's still slower.
Yeah, it's definitely slower. I think Ultima and I were chatting in the Discord and determined that 9 is probably 9 per book. You're sitting right around 3 minutes a run, and then you have to look through your friends list. And I think that's the worst, potentially the worst part of this, is that depending on which friend you choose, you have to use a different strategy in order to do the board farm. So if you have Kistis, then you usually want to delay you want a Brave attack until turn 14. And then on turn 15, you can make Shiva split. And as long as you do that, you'll be able to charge Chocobo, and you completely dodge the dust. There's no dust at all. So you can do that with Serah and just her 35. I've had agonizing time working on Seifer and Thancred because I have them geared. And my God, I basically have to put an entire team that's capable of tackling the hardest content to clear it. I went into a 56 turn battle with Thancred, Faris, and Kistis, which is absurd. But the problem is that once Shiva uses Diamond Dust, you need to break her veil, which sometimes means using an ability to deal a lot of Brave damage. And then you just dumped your Brave, dealt 0 damage, and now she's going to go break that character. So without having someone like that batteries the party like Deuce or Selfie, you just keep getting the veil turned on, and the veil is the most annoying thing, I think, for everyone.
Let me just chime in here before we continue. Yeah. I want to make sure that everyone understands that the way the veil works for Shiva is different than the way it worked for Ifrit. With Ifrit, he activated it when his Brave got to a certain percentage of his max Brave. For Shiva, she activates it whenever she breaks an enemy or hits a broken target. So if you want to avoid the veil going up more often, try to avoid breaks. The best way I've been able to find to deal with the diamond dusts is make sure all my characters have at least 2,000 brave going into the diamond dust. So a battery whose turn is up first, or having everyone just brave attack once going into that, makes it a lot safer and a lot easier to handle.
I did want to shout
Yeah.
out to streamer its_mir, MIHR on Twitch, a newer streamer, but go check him out. I was in his stream and we were talking, and he was using Cloud, I believe. And so I think the best success I had was Serah Cloud, Friend Cloud, carry whatever unit, and able to do it consistently in 10 turns. Blue Birdie saying, Serah Jet character you want to farm with Kista's friend. I beat the fight even before the Diamond Dust. You know, a lot of people are saying that kind of thing. The only problem with that I have is if you're doing two characters you've already mastered, for example, my Serah and my Cloud already mastered, I can bring trash units to, you know, get their boards, but I'm only getting XP for those two units, and I'm oozing XP for basically a unit that I could have for Serah and Cloud. And so it's all about, you know, how do I want to use the best amount of my time? You know, how do I want to try to save books? Now, you know, if I'm not being able to beat them, right, and it's taken 56 turns, then yeah, it's probably just better to use two good units, even if they're already mastered, and just grind, you know, the other units as I need. But, you know, if you can try to be strategic and bring 3 new characters, or at least 2 characters and a carry until they're mastered, and then switch it up, I think that's the most economical use of your time and your resources. I don't know what you guys generally think, but I mean, that's kind of my approach. Now, it doesn't always work well, as you just explained with the Thancred, and I had 2 wipes with Thancred teams that I was trying. I was not on a book. I was testing them out, and I just couldn't get one to work very well.
Yeah, it's really tricky because you want to be efficient. And before, for Ifrit, you could use Celis with her 35, and it was basically like a free go. You had no worries, and she was special boosted, so you could carry some really bad characters. Like I remember doing Celis with an MLB Kryl and some garbage unit, I think Balthier, with no weapons at all, and I had no trouble. It took forever. I didn't use a book or anything, but you could do it. It's a lot harder to do that with Shiva because of her veil turning on whenever the break happens, and the fact that there's 2 of them.
Now, I was able to, because I have carried some trash characters. Let me tell you the characters I've carried. Rajin, Rydia, Leon, Yang. None of these characters have 35 CPs, or if they do, like Rydia and Zach, they're just not awakened. Edgar, Zach, Sabin, Yida, my Yishtola's only has her 15 CP. Irving, Seymour, Barrett, Realm, Shadow, Lulu, carried all of those with some different teams, including Serah and I think Cloud, Serah and Cloud, Auron and Kistis, Seifer, and who did I use with Seifer? I keep forgetting who I used with Seifer.
Seifer was painful. I expected more.
Oh, Serah, Seifer and Serah, or Lena, excuse me. Seifer and Lena. And both of those 3 sets of teams were able to carry fairly effectively. And so that's what I mean about trying to be the best, you know, use of resources possible. So
if someone needs to take Lena, by the way, really quickly, and you're using Serah with her 35, just let Serah battery the party and literally never use Windrake. You don't need to use Windrake. You don't need to use her EX. Because as long as you have like a Kistis friend that comes in, Kistis and Serah are battering the party. Lena's going to cap her Brave anyway, and you don't need to turn on her Brave and HP regen, which slow your book runs down so much. You literally can just spam rapid fire, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, things like, you don't think about things like that, but yeah, the regens and stuff do take extra time. And animations, of course, take extra time. So, yeah, if you're trying to really, really make the most of your time, think about things like that. That's a good insight, Ink.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would say is we made a Shiva infographic, but besides that,
Yeah.
there's utility characters, special utility characters that I would say, like Kistis, Cloud, Setzer, and Kefka. And those
Yes.
units are really, really good at slow carrying just very bad units, specifically the bad SS. So it's really easy. Like I took Renoa and Setzer. I paired the two of them together to make sure that Renoa was not a liability, so that Shiva, when she dusted, could not kill Renoa because she had 0 Brave from freeze. So it is pretty good to save your utilities for those like really bad SSs that you, or SBs that you want to carry.
Yeah. Well, what is your you know, how are you guys going to approach this summon board? Are you going to master everybody? Are you just going to try to get the treasures? Are you just doing a few? Kind of what's going to be your take on this particular summon board?
After dealing with it for a day, I've come to the decision that I'm only good at master boards for characters that either make very easy carries, or for characters that I know I'm going to be using in the next month that will not have double XP anytime soon. Otherwise, I'm just going to try to farm treasures for everyone and get out and dodge. This is such a painful summon board to grind, just because the fight's so slow.
Now, it's a good point. It will get easier with the more powerful characters we get. I've seen Noctis, level 70 Noctis rework, solo this by himself. So,
yeah,
you know,
Noctis is pretty amazing with his rework.
Yeah.
The thing I think that people definitely should know is there's probably a collection of, I don't know, 25 or 30 characters that are synergy before Rama. Yeah. So most of us spend all of our SP on World of Illusion farming for summon boards specifically. We usually don't go in for artifacts because we want to go into co-op. Serah's a bit of an exception there, but we're grinding summon boards nonstop until the next one's available. So there's about 35 or more characters that are awakening to 70 that are synergy on upcoming character events. You can just wait to do those later and then use Vayne or Noctis to carry two double boosted characters. Makes it a lot easier. I think I've only done rewards for 21 units so far, and I have something like 40 left. So it's actually not that bad when you cut out a third or more of your roster that you need to grind rewards for. You can just wait on it.
Yeah. I missed earlier. Shout out to Furzu, another streamer. Check out Furzu _ for DFFO streaming. I have not. My Shiva's at level 29. I don't use double or triple books for items for the summon boards. You're going to be doing the summon board so much. I didn't need to feel the need to do Cosmos today, right? So I'm already at Shiva level 29 without doing any double or triple books. So I have not unlocked the Cosmos. Have either of you unlocked or done Cosmos? If not,
I have unlocked Cosmos, but I have not tried it yet. I've just been dealing with the summon grind so far, so I cannot talk on it yet. I don't know if Macnol has posted a call to arms for this Cosmos fight yet either.
It's a harder version of the grind fight. I think one of the big differences is just resistances. Shiva in the Cosmos does have different.
The big thing the Cosmos Shiva does is that she removes all of her debuffs when she diamond dusts now. Yes. So it becomes a lot harder to keep her down.
Yeah, so
that is tricky.
Yeah, and much more resistant to the elements. And there was something else that I was going to say. Yeah, Eamon. What did you, Eamon, from our Discord? What did you use to beat the Cosmos? What team did you use? The Twitch
he did a Garnet Rosa Ject run that he posted on the Discord earlier.
Okay, so it can't be that hard. I think that's what would take from that.
Still going with Garnet.
Oh, yeah.
I have to say, Eamon was really happy getting Garnet's EX and has used it. It has to be the most used EX that he has. It's very impressive. Despite having better EXs, he will always carry Garnet.
Yeah, well, we love
Garnet contributes too. She's not a carry.
Yeah.
Garnet in that party was the healer. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, Rosa needs it.
All right.
Yeah. I haven't tried the Cosmos stage yet. I'm just going to shove Serah, Lena, and Renoa in it and hope that it works. And then I'll try some other parties, like Vanille. I really want to watch Vanille's assassination unique debuff bang on Diamond Dust after it happens.
Oh,
that
yeah,
should be interesting.
I ran a couple with Vanille. I love Vanille. She's one of my favorite kind of niche characters that I picked up randomly, so I enjoy using her. And I like
She's
that.
fantastic.
I like that EX ability. Death is pretty cool. Oh, well,
So satisfying.
It is super satisfying. Anything else from Shiva that we need to talk about? All right. Well, let's go to our host discussion, of course, because we have a guest here today. Well, first, let me say, Eamon says, the best team I tried was Rosa, Lena, Jet, Twins, Friend. Brothers Summon got 750 score with 33 turns. No break. So there you go. That's one good setup. Of course, Macnell, I think, is going to do a call to arms, and you can see a whole bunch of other things. So, Ink, welcome. And there are some folks from the Tomberry Troop with us. If you want to shout out to any of them, if any of them are streamers or content creators, please let us know. But tell us a little bit about the work, the creation, who is the Tomberry Troop? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. First off, thanks for having me.
Yes.
We've, I guess, sort of been recent to the scene, but I've been chatting with Ketz for a while, who was on the show last week. And I think generally what we've been trying to do with the troop is cater to specific content that's not out there. And so one of the things that I guess happened was I was really excited myself to pull Kistis's banner on her Lost Chapter, but I had no idea what she did. I didn't know if she worked well with my party. I didn't know why she was good, besides that she delayed 3 turns, and there was a lot of controversy over whether she was just a friend unit or not. And so I did the research myself and then figured, I don't know, this information wasn't anywhere. I did the research and so threw it onto a graphic. It was by far the worst graphic we've posted, but it was really well received because there just wasn't anything. We have great analyses that are done across, but there wasn't really a quick reference guide for people that just wanted to see, oh, does this person work for me? What's interesting about them just at a glance? And that was something that we wanted to do. It was so graciously received. It was really unexpected that we got that, but it's great how the community has sort of embraced all of them. We keep trying to make them better. It's going to get harder with level 70. It's going to get harder with the EX Plus era when that comes around, fitting all the information for a character on there. And so you start to think about what is crucial about a character and what actually matters. Does it matter that someone has 5 hits versus 7 hits? You just need to know if they brave shave, for example. That's just a random example. You don't need to know their passive buffs. That if they give themselves 50% attack up when they're buffed, you don't really need to know that they're always going to be buffed. It's not the unique thing about their kit. It's not integral to their kit necessarily. So what we're trying to do is boil up just the really specific things of a character's kit. It's sort of like just a touch on things from like where Kreese's perspective is. I always like to compare like Kreese's thoughts in his write-ups versus what I put sort of at the end of the infographic for team synergies and how this character works and who they work well with. Because it's interesting that we're both very similar usually. So it's just a different way to present information that the community hadn't seen yet. And we've got a lot of them queued up. We're actually done with August. We're into September. We've already done people like Vaughn and Lightning. Part of the bane of this that we started to notice was that, well, they started dropping reworks on us randomly. And these infographics, some of them are really easy to make, like Kane was such an easy infographic. I think I was done with it in about 20 minutes. Whereas if you look at like Lightning's rework or Vaughn's rework, or even Serah, they take a few days to grind out and get them into good shape. And so some of these reworks start to get really complex. And so we have to, I assume that we're going to get swapped synergies and swapped awakenings. And so we're going to try and keep them not delayed. But the whole point of the infographics is to give people a really quick idea. All of them are posted on our forecast planner. For anyone that doesn't know, in the Discord, because Ketz has been so generous and so nice, he has all of our work linked via a very simple command, similar to what he did for Macnol. You can just type $C2A and it brings up all the call to arms threads, which is awesome. You can type for us $planner or $infographic, and you get to see all the work that the Toneberry Troop has worked on. We all do slightly different things. So we all started, I should mention this, I guess. We all started in Blind Eye. I think you all have seen him around. Great guy, has his own Discord for a lot of different games, but the Dissidia Opera Omnia one has sort of boomed. So we have a bunch of people in there, and we all sort of banded together to work together on a lot of this. So even though I do a lot of the work with the design of the infographic, Blind also does it. Jeffers 747 has done the design of infographics. There's a number of people that gather all the data. Teleute, Nethros, there's so many people that sort of contribute to make it as easy as possible. I would like to think that we're more accurate now because we have multiple people reviewing the correctness of the graphics for people, and also like the ability uses and such. So we've gotten more accurate just because we have a really nice system, and I have a great group of people that have decided to help us. So yeah, it's a growing beast. There's a lot of work to it, but it's fun.
There's definitely something to be said for working with a team to get this sort of stuff out. I'm still doing it alone because I kind of have always done it alone, and I like to think about each character on myself about it, but definitely the work you do is amazing.
You know, I will.
And
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you start doing them and you dive into all these characters, it actually makes it easier to do more. You know all the debuffers that are out. You know the debuffers that are coming. You know the best supports. You know who's melee and who's ranged. And I never knew that before I started doing this. You learn so much just by actually creating these. A lot more. There's a lot more, just like with teaching, I guess. There's a lot more with actually teaching the content and creating it than there is with just looking at it.
I will say this, you know, what was it with, maybe with Renoa? Square tried to have a article on, I forget what even website it was, but one of the gaming websites about, you know, a new upcoming character in DFFO to get kind of some new interest, to get maybe people new to the game. And what they gave us was, the article was, you know, very, very hard to read. I mean, imagine Kreese's evaluation without any kind of context that he gives you, just kind of sharing the numbers without actually sharing numbers. And
Don't get me started on the Twinfinite article. I think there was one night I got drunk and went off on a rant in one of the private channels. It was not my finest hour, but I am not happy with the way that article was presented.
But yeah, nothing.
Square, if you're listening, try to broadcast it a little bit more, because the fact that none of us found it until after Renoa's event was over was bad.
Yes. A lot of it is predictable. I think it's like the podcast, right? If you were podcasting at different hours on a different URL and it wasn't consistent, people won't find it. They won't get attached to it. So it is important to find a channel that's used and advertise it. Like they had, I thought it was so good when we did the polls for iDojas. Well, I didn't like the polls for iDojas because people voted for their favorites and not the people we needed iDojas for. But it was really cool to have a survey in game. And I feel like if they have that, I feel like there's got to be something that they can do to link you from the actual thing to it. Like it would be so much easier to just have a portal. to all the content.
But what I was going to say, the reason I brought up the Twinfinite article in the first place wasn't to belittle them or anything else, but was to say for new players, for trying to try to get somebody into the game, the kind of videos that they do are good, but to have something like the infographic that the Tonberry Troop does out there, share it on Twitter from the main page and say, hey, look at this new character is coming out. Zach is coming out. Here's what he gets. If you're interested in him, come play DFFOO. You know, that's the kind of thing I think that would help maybe bring some new people in. It's easy to read. It's very accessible. It's not, you know, those of us who are interested, we're going to dig in. We're going to find the numbers. We're going to read the evaluations. We're going to dig into the spreadsheets. We're going to do that work. But to just kind of throw it up and say, hey, wow, this is what's coming, that's kind of the thing that they should think about moving forward. So if they are listening, I know sometimes they do, you know, talk to the Tonberry Troop and get them to share their stuff with you. I'm sure they would let you share their stuff on your Twitter, official Twitter and everything else. Because I think that's the kind of thing that will get people excited. Ooh, I don't know what that was. Is everybody...
Sorry, I had dropped out for a second. I'm back now, though.
Is everybody okay? Okay. Hey, woo.
Stream might have gone down for a moment.
Yeah, that was a little crazy. We are still recording. So, all right. Well, let's move on from there. So yeah,
stream's still dead. Yeah.
Oh, the stream is down?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That's not
getting rips and Fs in chat.
Uh-oh. So I don't know what to do about that. Let me see. It says we're streaming, so nothing else. It's
okay,
not.
It looks like it's back up.
Okay.
It looks like it's back up.
Okay. All right. So I apologize for that, everybody listening. I don't know what happened, but the stream did stop for a second. It's okay because we are about to go off. So, Ink, how can we get a hold of you? Is there any other things that we need to know about the Tonberry Troop before we call this a night?
So yeah, I mean, you can find us. We really deep in the Crystal Chronicles Discord, so it's really easy to find us on there. Both me, Blind, Teleute, Pietus. There's a bunch of us that all chat in there pretty regularly. So yeah, you can easily find us. And I guess one thing that I do want to point out is really good feedback is something that we love. We do try and produce really good content, but it is really helpful. Like we added the buff totals and debuff totals to Serah, and we're going to do that for all the future ones also. So if there are things that you would find really good, if they were in the graphic or things that would be helpful, we don't mind suggestions. So just reach out to us on Discord. You certainly can reply to our Reddit thread. We do keep eyes on all the infographics that we post on Reddit. So you can always reply there, but the easiest place is Discord.
Awesome. Well, looking ahead, we do have a whole new calendar of events coming up this current week between now and our next show, which is next Thursday, is Zach LC Shining In Someday and Vane's event, Conqueror's Duty. So there's going to be a lot to talk about next week with Zach LC, his rework, his EX, and of course, Vane, who many, many people have been waiting for. So that is what's coming up, including some new things. And in a couple of weeks, there's going to be a lot more going on as well. We look forward to all of that. If you want to get in touch with us, the best way to do so is at our website, tccpodcast.com, www.thecrystalchronicles.tccpodcast.com. Facebook at FFTCC Podcast, Twitter at FFTCC Podcast. You can search the Crystal Chronicles on Twitch and YouTube. Join our Discord. You can find all those links and everything else, as well as our show streamed and downloaded. If you have an iPhone, iPad, Mac, and you listen to Apple Podcasts, you can download us, subscribe to us as you can on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, etc. Make sure that you like, follow, make sure that you are always up to date on what is going on. So, this has been episode 63 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded on August 1st, 2019. For myself, Mino Spellgood, Kreese, aka Zerink, and our special guest, Inkwelder, we wish you all the best of luck, good pulling, and goodbye.